Can I just put the Packers at 1 and pretend that Thursday never happened? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't, I do Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. No, seriously, am I allowed to do that? I mean, I guess why not? It says Tom Grossi on the YouTube channel name. I could just do whatever I want. I could put the Packers at number 1 every single week, and no one can stop me. Grossi, and today we are going to be ranking the top 10 teams heading in to week 15 of the 2024-2025 NFL season. And folks, there are not a lot of games left. Things are coming down to the wire. Some teams are already clinching divisions or clinching playoff spots. Not clinching the division as the Detroit Lions because the Minnesota Vikings won't go away. But with only a handful of games left, things are going to start getting crazy. And before we jump into the top 10, we got some honorable mentions. First off, I gotta shout out the LA Chargers. I didn't have them on my honorable mentions last week, and I think you can make a pretty strong argument that I could have had them on there. But honestly, my concerns with the Chargers were with the lack of J.K. Dobbins. That offense was not going to be as efficient as it could be, as Gus Edwards the week before had under 35 yards, didn't really look so great. And this week, they went toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately for the Chargers, though, the Chiefs used their devil magic to get the win again. They didn't have Ladd McConkey. They didn't have J.K. Dobbins, but still put up a pretty damn good effort against one of the best teams in the NFL, which is the Chiefs right now. And so I got to give them their due. I do still think that they are a playoff team. They have a great record, and even though they are down some offensive weapons, once they get some of those weapons back, I think they will be much, much better, and who knows what damage they can cause in the postseason. And the other team I gotta give an honorable mention shout out to is the LA Rams. And the Rams are a frustrating football team to follow because there are things that you love about the Rams, right? Look at Puka Nacua, and they had a huge win over the Buffalo Bills this past Sunday, an absolute shootout. You love Jared Verse on that defensive line. And the thing that just kills me about the Rams is the lack of consistency. It always feels like there's a different Rams team that can show up from week to week. And again, I still think they're a good team. They're not going away in that NFC West, which is complicated to say the least. They have a big Thursday game against the San Francisco 49ers. If they want to try and capture that division, they got to hope that the Packers beat the Seahawks and the Rams win a couple more games in order to jump over Seattle. But as of right now, beating one of the best teams in the Bills deserves at least an honorable mention. And so because of that, Rams, you get a shout out. And let's see if you can go win the NFC West. And starting off with number 10, you got the Denver Broncos. That's right. I don't care if they were on a bye. They still deserve at least some respect. And you just got to pray that Riley Moss is going to come back right now. But the Broncos, they got to enjoy a nice bye week. And listen, things were a little bit complicated for Denver this week because Broncos fans had to root for the Chiefs this weekend to help their wild card chances.
I suddenly feel so dirty.
Forever unclean. And that did happen this past weekend when the Chiefs took down the Chargers, and now the Chargers and Broncos have the same record. So it is very possible for Denver to supersede the LA Chargers and potentially get in a better position for the playoffs when it comes to seeding. And listen, the Broncos defense has been pretty damn good, barring that terrible game against the Browns, in which I mean terrible, I mean just defensively. If Riley Moss gets healthy, they should be looking pretty damn good. That offense, while it's not blowing the doors off anybody, I think is more than enough to make the postseason. And like I've been saying, especially with the divisional games this year, if they wind up playing a fellow AFC West rival in the postseason, who knows? You might see the Broncos even win a playoff game. So for right now, on the bye, number 10 is the Denver Broncos. Let's see if their ride can continue. Number 9, you got the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. The Packers having a tough loss against the Detroit Lions on Thursday, and us Packers fans, we're just trying to keep our composure after another divisional loss.
Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do. Flip out, man.
Oh, Lions, yeah. Starting starting to get annoying. But the Packers going toe-to-toe with the Detroit Lions, both teams having a number of injuries heading into this game, and it was not helped by the Packers losing Javon Bullard, Evan Williams out with a concussion. And I'm not really going to sit here and complain about injuries because just look at the Detroit Lions right now. But the Packers put together a pretty damn good performance. No, everything did not go their way, but taking a look at this team, I think they can stand toe-to-toe with just about anybody in the NFC. Of course, we'll see as the Lions get healthier and as the Packers get healthier if we're going to have that rematch in the postseason. And right now for the Packers, things are still looking pretty damn good. They are well in control of their own fate. They have a big game against the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football, which will be amazing. And they wind up finishing off the year with the Saints, the Vikings, and the Bears. Those last two games are going to be really pivotal, especially seeing where the Vikings are within the division. But as of right now, even after a frustrating loss, Josh Jacobs had another good game. Jordan Love did not turn the ball over. Let's just see if the Packers can get healthy, now having 10 days rest, and get ready for Seattle, and hopefully a strong finish to the season. Number 8, you got the Seattle Seahawks. That's good. Be above the Packers for now. Let's just wait until after Sunday night. I really hope that ages well. The Seahawks getting a big win on Sunday, beating down the Cardinals again.
Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Is that all you got?
And it's really unfortunate for the Cardinals as now they've been swept by the Seahawks, and while they did have a slight divisional lead, that has fallen away. Right now, the Seahawks, they have a game up against the LA Rams, who are not going away anytime soon. That'll be a really interesting matchup later this season. But the Seahawks, they've been winning for a couple of reasons. One, it's been their defense this past couple of weeks, which has looked really, really good. McDonald's is doing a nice job with that defensive unit. On top of that, taking a look at the offense, the run game was much better this past Sunday. Zach Charbonnet having a nice game. And this is the way that the Seahawks are going to win football games. I know Geno Smith is not a perfect quarterback. I know that offensive line is not perfect. But if they're able to establish the run game and have a balanced attack on offense, things go much, much better. And like I said, that defense, which has been looking pretty damn good over this past month, that's something to be excited about. I don't know how strong Seattle is going to be heading into the postseason. We'll see if they're going to be able to hold on to the NFC West. But like I said about the Packers, a huge game on Sunday night, which will be a great test for both organizations. We'll see where both of them are at, and hopefully not another heartbreak in Seattle for the Green Bay Packers. Number 7, you got the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens got to enjoy a well-earned bye week in week 14. And listen, the Ravens go away for 1 week, just 1 week on a bye, and all of a sudden, Josh Allen is now the favorite to be MVP.
Okay, you think he's the MVP? Okay, fine, no problem. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry might have something to say about that. But listen, let's talk about the Ravens right now. The Ravens are in a peculiar spot. I still think they're a very good football team. When they get the run game going and Lamar Jackson is at his best, that offense is almost unstoppable. Taking a look at the defense, there is a lot to be desired. But the last time that we saw them, they went toe-to-toe with the Eagles. They lost that game. Justin Tucker did not look good. And heading into the final few games of this season, it's going to be really important for the Ravens. The Steelers still have to go through a gauntlet, so the AFC North is still up for the taking. In a couple weeks, we'll see the Steelers and Ravens battle it out, which should be a phenomenal game on Saturday. But overall, I feel pretty good about Baltimore. They're another team that has flaws, but as I've talked about with every single team that's on this list, they all have flaws. It's just going to be a matter of, can the Ravens be consistent when they get to the postseason? And if so, who knows what can happen. But as of right now, the Ravens coming in at number 7. Let's see how they look on Sunday. Number 6. I hate putting them this high. You got the purple incarnation of Satan, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings with another win. Oh, look at me. I got Aaron Jones, and I just steal him from the Packers. It's fine. Everything is fine. But the Vikings getting a big win over their former quarterback in Kirk Cousins. The defense doing its job against Cousins. And listen, Cousins have not been having a good month so far. But the larger story is that offense of the Vikings. 5 touchdowns for Sam Darnold, and even though the Falcons secondary was literally falling over themselves, you got to give some credit to the Vikings here. And now, listen, they're 11-2. They want a little recognition from the media.
Now, you don't love me anymore, well, that breaks my heart, but it's still bad, because you don't gotta love me. But you will respect me.
And I'm not the media, so I don't have to give you recognition. Anyway, coming in at number 6, the Vikings do deserve their props. I mean, I think they've blown away even the most diehard Vikings fans' expectations for this year. Taking a look at earlier in the offseason, I predicted them having a ceiling of 10-7, and they have blown past that. So unless they wind up losing these last few games, I think a huge shout out goes to KOC, Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, who has been really good. Sam Darnold had a really great game on Sunday. I think we're all just waiting to see if that can be consistent heading into the postseason. But right now, the Vikings are not letting the Lions run away with the division. They got a great matchup coming up at the end of the season. So we'll see how far the purple incarnation of Satan can go. And don't worry, that Packers game is soon approaching. And hopefully, we'll have our revenge. Number 5, you got the Kansas City Chiefs.
You can't keep getting away with it!
They can't keep getting away with it. I feel like we could just take that meme and copy and paste it every single week, and it'd be viable every single week. The Chiefs coming away with another last-second win, a dramatic win, and we all know who's behind this.
Well, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan. I always have been.
But the Chiefs winning with a field goal that doinked off the left upright and bounced in because, again, of course. And I know there's a lot of hate for the Chiefs, but hey, they keep on winning, and more importantly, they have clinched the AFC West yet again, securing them a home game in the playoffs, and they're still vying for that number 1 seed. The Bills losing really helped out the Chiefs this week, and on top of that, the other team they really have to worry about right this second in the AFC, I think, is the Steelers. And so if the Chiefs can continue to win these ball games, we'll be looking at the road to the Super Bowl going through Kansas City yet again. We'll see if the Chiefs can be able to pull it off, and even though things aren't looking perfect for Kansas City, you got to give them props. They're still a top 5 team, and that's why they keep on frickin' frackin' winning. Or it's the devil magic. Number 4, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers able to defeat the Cleveland Browns, avenging their loss in the snow from a couple of weeks back. And Steelers, they're looking pretty damn good right now, but they can't let their guard down yet.
He means to take the North, but the North is ours.
Russell Wilson having another clean game, had 2 touchdowns, the defense doing its work. Jameis Winston threw 2 interceptions on the day. And for the Steelers, I think what their biggest strength is their balance. And that if they get Najee Harris going and Russell Wilson can play a mistake-free game, they're going to beat a lot of teams. On top of that, that defense is consistently looking good. And I don't think many people were expecting the Steelers to be competing for the 1 seed heading into Week 15, which is pretty incredible, and I think also a testament to the coaching of Mike Tomlin. And the Steelers, again, just like anybody on this list, they are not without flaws, but you got to give them a ton of props. They have a gauntlet coming up, and if they're able to win a bunch of those games, oh boy, watch out, because they are going to be primed and ready for the postseason. And who knows, maybe the Steelers will be able to win the AFC North, go even crazier. Maybe they will be able to secure the number 1 spot, and the road to the Super Bowl will run through Pittsburgh, which would be insane. But hey, stranger things have happened. We'll see all the BS on Christmas between the Chiefs and the Steelers to see who could out-BS one another. And overall, Steelers, they're coming in at number 4. And maybe, just maybe, Steelers got a Super Bowl. Number 3, you got the Buffalo Bills. The Bills going down a spot, and it was heartbreaking to watch because Josh Allen put up an MVP performance and still lost.
First time.
6 freaking fracking touchdowns, and the Bills defense was like, you know what? I don't feel like showing up, especially in the later parts of this game. And it was so infuriating to watch because Josh Allen was absolutely incredible, but you got to give the Rams definite props there because they went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen, who looked unstoppable this past Sunday. And while this is obviously disappointing for Bills fans, we got to take a look at the larger picture here. They already wrapped up the division and clinching the AFC East. They're still in good position to compete for that number 1 seed. They just got to hope that the Steelers lose a little bit and also the Chiefs drop a couple of games. But overall, I still believe in the Bills Bills. I still think they're going to be one of the top teams heading into the postseason. They already clinched a home playoff game. We'll see if they can go a bit higher and maybe even get that 1 seed. And if so, the road to the Super Bowl will run through Buffalo, which I think would definitely help the Bills here. But defensive concerns aside, this is why Josh Allen is being talked about as a potential MVP candidate this year. He can definitely put the entire team on his back, and if the defense helps out just a little bit, they'll be able to win plenty of football games as they already have. And so while it's disappointing for the Bills this week, you're still coming in at number 3, and we'll see if you can go all the way this time. Number 2, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, I put you at number 1 after your big win against the Baltimore Ravens last week, but I had to drop you down 1 because, oh boy, they just avoided disaster against the Panthers.
Whoa, that was close.
And I gotta give the Panthers a huge shout out here because they have taken the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Buccaneers to the very limits here. And I gotta be honest, I'm super happy for Bryce Young. It seems like Canales is the guy there. Unfortunately, Brooks getting injured is just heartbreaking as they lose another running back. But at the same time, the Panthers, maybe they finally have a bright future ahead of them. Going up against the Eagles, and the Eagles, things are not the best right this second. Their defense is still top-notch. The run game with Saquon Barkley is really great. However, I know there's extracurriculars going on right now. Some comments made by Brandon Graham about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Those have ruffled some feathers. That's a really good pun. I'm just going to keep that in there. And I know there's a lot of criticism hurled at Jalen Hurts right now, especially for his performance on Sunday. But at the end of the day, they're still winning football games. So even if there's some dysfunction or there's flaws in their game, they're still fracking winning, and they're also in a great spot to win their division. They already clinched a playoff spot after their win over the Panthers on Sunday. And going forward, I still think the Eagles can go toe-to-toe with just about any team. I think the big matchup that everybody's dying to see is the Lions and the Eagles. We'll see if the postseason is going to give it to us. But as of right now, the Eagles are coming in at number 2 because there is a team that is better than them. And number 1, back in the top spot, you got the Detroit Lions. The Lions, the reason why they're above the Eagles right now is because of the quality of competition that they face. I do think the Packers are a better team than the Panthers. And so because of that, the Lions, you get number 1 again. And listen, I guess it really is just a new era in the NFC North.
The age of men is over. The time of the Orc has come.
The Lions, decimated on defense, did not look like that in the first half. They were able to get after Jordan Love. Darius Smith had his 1 sack, and then he decided to not do anything the rest of the game. But the Lions defense, you got to give them a ton of credit. With all those injuries, Aaron Glenn has been on one this year. And to be able to put together that first half looked pretty damn good. Then you look at the second half, then things were blown wide open. And this was a really fun game to watch because it was just a good football game. And a little bit different for Jared Goff. He did have the turnover, of course, but he had to throw the ball over 40 times because he was picking apart that Packers secondary, especially near the end of that game because of all the injuries that we have in the secondary. And it just goes to show all the different ways that the Lions can win football games. They can run it down your throat with Monty or Gibbs, or Jared Goff can throw it over 40 times and they can still find a way to win. And I think that tenacity to still win that game with all of those injuries proves why the Lions are a top contender this year. So they are sitting at number 1. Yes, they still got plenty of injuries, but they're going to get some guys back. There's the news that Aiden Hutchinson might come back for the NFC Championship game if they can make it that far. And right now, it's the Lions world. We're all living in it, and I hate it. And so just to recap, at number 1, you got the Lions, 2 Eagles, 3 Bills, 4 Steelers, 5 Chiefs, 6 Vikings, 7 Ravens, 8 Seahawks, 9 Packers, and 10 Broncos. But let me know who you think should be on this list, who should be off of it. Shout out to the Buccaneers making the good cookies this week. And plus, you're going to win the division because it ain't going to be the Falcons. But let me know. You know, I saw me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy. All social media, see down below. A big shout and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack, go.